Okay, so I have a little bit of time. I've been wanting to do this video for quite some time now, so I figure now is a good time to do it. Anyways, if you're watching this video, first off, my name is Jennifer, and if you're watching this video, most likely you have either just been diagnosed with IC, or you're somewhere in the process of your journey trying to still figure things out. So I want to tell you my story first and then what has worked for me, because I have pretty much reversed all of my symptoms. I would say the only time I have issues is when I get really stressed. So it'll still flare up then, but even then it's pretty mild, so nothing crazy like it was. So anyways, I just want to share some of my tips and tricks to maybe help you guys out. Anyway, so my story started last year. I woke up on August 18th, 2016, and something just felt wrong. I felt like I had a UTI, and I'd actually had this feeling before. And so what I would do in that case was just drink a ton of cranberry juice and water, and eventually the feeling would just go away. So I did that, and this time it just stuck around. The feeling just didn't stop. So I waited it out a few days, and then I finally went to my doctor. And actually I went to my doctor a few times, and they did like a urine test, and each time it came back negative. There was no bacteria in my urine. So there was no antibiotic they could give me, and I was starting to get a little freaked out. And the doctor basically told me, it could be this interstitial cystitis. And she kind of told me a little bit about it. And she gave me a list of foods that I could and couldn't eat. And I just remember looking at that list and thinking that my life was over. I mean, I got in the car, got halfway home. My husband called me. I had to pull over because I was sobbing. I just felt in my heart that this was different than anything else I'd ever experienced, and I knew that this was what I had. I knew it without going to a urologist. I just knew this is what it was. So anyways, kind of making a long story short, I did end up going to, I made a trip to the ER, and then I went to my OBGYN, and finally the urologist, looking for answers in all of those places, and it finally came back as IC. So I think I got that diagnosis in October of last year. So again, I went home. I was super just depressed. I would sit on my couch day after day and cry, and just go online, and I was in the forums just reading what people were saying, and basically, it was almost like a death sentence. People were talking about suicide. It was extremely scary for me. So I'm trying to think. Probably after 3 weeks, I just decided I have to get up and do something. I am so miserable. I can't live like this forever. And I don't know, something inside me told me to research natural healing of interstitial cystitis, and I think the first thing I came upon was Brittany, Montreal Healthy Girl. And so I started there, and then from there it just kind of spiraled out of control. I started finding all of these people that have not only just cured interstitial cystitis, but have cured a multitude of diseases. And I guess that's the biggest thing I can say at the beginning of this journey. You need to not, it's okay to be depressed for a minute, but you have got to get up and do something to fix this. So the first thing I would recommend is getting a good support group around you, supportive family members, supportive friends. Get on Instagram and start following people that are inspirational. I think two of the first people I started following on there were Johnny Juicer and Fully Raw Christina. I highly, highly recommend them both. They're both just awesome. And then I went on Facebook. I found a couple of groups on there. The one I recommend, it's a great group of girls. I haven't been on in a while, but it was Healing IC Holistically. So check that out. there are people that are healing this, and I am living proof. I mean, I'm telling you, in the very beginning, it was frequency and urgency like you could not believe. Pressure that was unbearable. I didn't so much have the pain that some of you may have, but it was awful regardless. I mean, I could barely sleep at night. The pressure was so intense, and I just felt like my bladder was constantly full. I could never tell, like, do I actually have to pee or do I not? I had, what's the word I'm looking for? It was like my urine stream was like intermittent. I can't think of the word right now, but it would stop and start, stop and start. And it was just the craziest thing. So, completely miserable. So you need to have a good support group. So yeah, that would be my first thing. Just get out of your head. Tell yourself that this is not going to kill you. I think that this happens to a lot of us to kind of make us stop and take a look at how we're living our lives. I know that's how it was for me. I mean, when I came down, well, when I got IC, it was right after I had left a super stressful job. I mean, just completely miserable job. I was terrible to my body, eating horribly, not drinking enough water, drinking all the time. I just was not living a good life. So this really made me stop and take a look at what I was doing to myself. I mean, I had no other choice. I lived in the bathroom. It was like every 15 minutes going to the bathroom. It was hard to do anything at first. I mean, I certainly couldn't sit here comfortably and talk to you a year ago. So yeah, support group, first thing. Water is another huge thing. You need to make sure you're drinking half of your body weight every single day. So for example, if you weigh 130 pounds, you need to be drinking at least 65 ounces of water every day. And you're going to hear a lot of different things as you go through this. People will recommend alkaline water, or this spring water is better than this water, or, I mean, you're going to hear tons of stuff. You need to find what works best for you. So I'm not sensitive to water. I've never noticed being sensitive to it. So I just drink Arrowhead bottled water mainly, and that seems to work fine for me. Just making sure you're getting your daily intake is so important. I know it sucks being in the bathroom, but you have got to flush whatever is in your system out. So that's really important. So stay hydrated. Obviously, changing the diet, the list that your doctor gives you, throw it out because it's trash. I mean, all of it is trash. Again, you're going to hear a lot of different things about what you should do as far as diet goes, and I will tell you what I have done. In the very beginning, I eliminated caffeine, sugar, chocolate, grains, dairy, gluten, meats. So those were the first things that I got rid of, and it is hard. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it was easy. Especially, I love food. I love eating out. I love hanging out with my friends and drinking. Yeah, alcohol was another one. I mean, you have to get rid of it at first, and it's just necessary for healing. So you just want to cut out all the crap and eat only natural whole foods. I mean, that basically leaves you with fruits, veggies, seeds, and nuts, and you have to learn to become creative with that. People will say, well, I can't do citrus, I can't do this fruit, I can't do that fruit, this veggie flares me. I just call bullshit on that. I mean, I know it hurts, don't get me wrong, because I've been there, but you have to detox all the crap out of you. So there was no fruit or veggie that was off limit for me. I think in the beginning I avoided like orange, lemon, pineapple. They were things that I had a hard time tolerating at first. They made me feel awful in the beginning. So I did, easy fruits in the beginning. It was like apples, blueberries, dates, bananas, stuff like that. And then I think after maybe 2 or 3 months, I just started adding everything in, and I spent a lot of time in the bathroom. But it's necessary. And once, I'll give you some people to take a look at, and once you start researching and learning for yourself, you will realize how necessary fruit is for the healing process. So don't don't listen to what everybody says. You need to do what works for you. Me personally, I do raw foods until 4 p.m. and then in the evenings I'll do a cooked meal of veggies. And just to kind of fill me up, I do potatoes. So whether that be just regular potatoes or sweet potatoes, it doesn't matter. Just something to kind of sustain me a little bit more. So that's what I do. If you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out to me. Another thing I will say, you know, I am not super strict. Like, I would not call myself a vegan per se. I am plant-based. I will do raw honeys. And I do meat from time to time. So if you're going to do meat, it needs to be top quality meat. So that means grass-fed and grass-finished meat. If you're going to do fish, say salmon, you need to do wild salmon, not farm salmon. Farm salmon is junk. Just stay away from anything farmed. If you're even going to do any kind of fish, it needs to be wild. So, just some other things to think about. Other than that, I mean, every day I wake up and I have lemon water. If you have IC, more than likely you have digestion issues. So I think that was one of the biggest things that helped me start getting back on track. Before lemon water and like changing my diet, I mean, I was going to the bathroom maybe every 4 or 5 days, like crazy, insane. I don't even know how I survived living like that. But the lemon water, once I really started incorporating that every single morning, you know, that replaced my coffee. And it was just, you know, I warmed the lemon water, or the water. I put in a whole lemon, and I'll usually do 16 to 32 ounces. In the beginning I did 16, but I've upped it to 32. So yeah, warm the water, put your lemon juice in, do some raw honey, and then what I do is cut off a piece of lemon wedge and take a small bite of that before you drink it. A lemon wedge could be known as a bitter, and so bitters actually stimulate your digestive system. So I take a small bite of that, and then I drink my water, and you know, you can tell what happens after that, but that bitter really stimulates the digestion process. So that is a great thing to incorporate into your morning routine and in place of coffee. In the beginning, I did 16 to 32 ounces of green juice every day, no exception. So whether you go out and you go to one of these juice bars that do the cleanses, they have them all set up for you already, you could do that. Or I recommend just going and buying a cheap juicer. I mean, I use a Breville, but yeah, you can get something even cheaper than that just to start out. But you should be getting green juices in 16 to 32 ounces every single day. You have got to start detoxing your body, and that is a great way to do it. If you don't want to do juices, green smoothies are fine. I personally prefer juices. You will hear different things. I just cannot stomach green smoothies. I think they're disgusting, but to each his own, and you will figure out what works best for you. But you need to be getting your greens in. Super important. Other than that, let's see, herbal teas. I think herbs are a very important part for healing as well. So what I would do is in the afternoon, just, you know, whenever I'm finally able to be home and just chill out, I, you know, heat up 16 ounces of water and I'll do herbal teas every single afternoon. So some of my favorites are lemon balm, licorice, nettle, rose hips, holy basil, dandelion. Those are some of my favorites, just really nice teas that are helpful in healing your bladder. You can also do marshmallow root too. I know you'll hear people talk about that all the time. It's not my favorite. I don't really like the flavor of it, so I didn't use it that often, but a lot of people swear by it. Corn silk, I mean, you'll hear a ton of them, but use whatever works best for you. Supplements, do not waste your money on supplements. You know, in the beginning, we all just want to feel better, so we're willing to do whatever it takes to find that magic fix. There is no magic fix, and I hate to break it to you, but there really isn't. I mean, I'm at a year in healing, and I'm just now like to a point where I feel really, really good, and it has been a hard year. And it's always 2 steps forward and 2 steps back. There would be times where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm getting better, and then it would be weeks where I would just fall back into a horrible flare and I couldn't get out of it, and I would start getting discouraged and start thinking, you know, is this really working for me? And I'd want to give up, but you can't give up. You have to keep going. You have to have faith that this is going to work for you. So yeah, supplements, a lot of them are junk. Don't waste your money on them. For me, I just do the basics now. I was probably up to I probably spent hundreds to thousands of dollars in the beginning, and I was maybe taking between 15 to 20 supplements a day. Not necessary. I personally follow the medical medium. He is somebody you should definitely check out. He believes that IC is caused by Streptococcus, which is also a cofactor of the Epstein-Barr virus, or also known as mono, or the kissing disease, whatever you want to call it. So he feels that's what causes interstitial cystitis. So some of the supplements that he recommends that I implement are zinc, high quality zinc, and I can show you examples of that, or you can message me and I can tell you which brand I take. A good B12, high quality magnesium, and those are really the only supplements I take at this point. I've gone back and forth with omega-3s. Again, I follow the medical medium and he doesn't necessarily believe in them. So I'm not taking them right now. Look into him, see what you think. You'll find that what works for one person doesn't work for another. I mean, there are women that have healed themselves, and men too, that have done something completely different than I have. You just have to find your own path. These are just things that I do and what has worked for me. So those are the supplements I take. Pelvic relief. A lot of people with IC have pelvic floor problems. I don't think that was my main problem per se, but I did do some exercises that did help. One of the biggest things, and I don't know how to describe this without it sounding corny, but basically you just breathe like you normally do. You breathe, and then when you're exhaling, you kind of exhale down through your vagina. I know it sounds weird, but it's almost like you're blowing air through your vagina, if you can imagine that. And you're just relaxing all of those muscles down there. Before I got IC, I never realized how much tension I hold in that area. I mean, it was crazy. I noticed that anytime I got stressed out, I was clenching down there, and that's not good. I mean, you need to release that pressure. So a good book that I read for different exercises and whatever you want to call them, she explains it in the book, but that book is let's see, Heal Pelvic Pain by Amy Stein. So that's a good one. And then other books that are good, I think the first one I got was the Better Bladder book by Wendy Cohen. I thought that was pretty good, and like I said, I follow Medical Medium. He has 2 books out right now, Life Changing Foods, and I believe The Secrets Behind Chronic Illness is the title of it. So check those 2 books out, and he has another one coming out in November on the thyroid. So, I mean, I honestly, when I started following him and doing what he said to do, that's when I probably noticed the most changes in my body. And I mean, people will have their opinions about him. He's maybe not a real medium, yada, 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 but it works for me, and his theory on what causes IC makes sense to me. So that's what I follow. Another good one is Dr. Robert Morris. You can find him on YouTube. He has a ton of videos, and he has a book out. It's the Detox Miracle Source book, and it is also wonderful. Trying to think if there's any other people. Sunny Morrow is great. I can't remember if I said her. Britt, Montreal Healthy Girl. They both have books out as well, ebooks, I believe. But they're both wonderful. So I've kind of incorporated bits and pieces from everybody. I think the final thing I can say is you need to really work on your emotional baggage. I feel that I think it's a multitude of things. Yeah, maybe it's strep that causes it, but it's also your emotional baggage. We store so many emotions, and it makes us sick over time. And I know that that's the truth for me, and that may be the truth for you too. So, I mean, with that, meditation is huge. I've gotten big into meditation. Just taking walks, getting out in the sun every day, doing something that makes you happy, even if it's only for 15 minutes, just getting out and moving your body. It's absolutely necessary for your healing. Maybe meditation won't work for you. Maybe you need to do like a walking meditation. Maybe sitting still isn't your thing. So you can certainly find walking meditations on YouTube and do that. You can do yoga. There's so many different things you can do. But I guess the biggest thing is just don't give up hope. You have to have a positive mindset that you can heal, and you will heal if you follow a strict diet and implement some of the things that I've talked about. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and I wish all of you the best of luck.